You spend 1.5 billion and that's the best you've got? Is that it? Maybe you need to buy some more players. Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 85 of the Growth Podcast. I hope you're all doing very, very, very well on this very, very fine Sunday evening or whenever you get around to listening to it, because it'll be fine whenever, because we've just beaten Chelsea 1-0 and that's always a fantastic day, fantastic occasion when we put one over on that clown car of a club. So and joining me to talk about the shared hatred and the joyous occasion of beating Chelsea, and I quote Arseblog here on this, who are a bunch of whining, moaning, snide babies, a collection of weeping pricks, is Ian. Ian, how are you? Anything you want to add to that description of Chelsea?
I'm good, Tabs. I'm good. There are a few words I would like to add to that, but they're not for public consumption. I think the podcast would probably get banned, so I'll just leave that there.
Leave that with us, look. No worries. Well, I'll do my best to keep my mouth. It'll be dirty, but maybe not that dirty. And joining us as well is Jamie. Good to see that you were back at the Emirates. Did you enjoy that? Was it good to be back?
Yeah, it was bloody brilliant. It was. I just needed it, to be honest. Still a bit of freshening up. I think you could tell the last time that we chatted that I was getting somewhat zoned out, to be completely frank, and needed something to get the juices flowing a little bit again, to be honest.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it. Yes, we're all getting a bit weary and talking about the same stuff. It's very hard to say. How many different ways can we say the same thing again and again and again? So, no, good. So we've got something different to talk about. So in today's show, we're going to review our glorious win against Chelsea. And that's about it, really, because it's the international break afterwards. But before we start on the Chelsea game, did any of you guys manage to catch up with the Carabao Cup final? Any thoughts? Did you have any preference who won, who didn't win? Ian?
Yeah, I saw the second half and couldn't believe how much Newcastle dominated Liverpool. I think Liverpool are hitting a little bit of a wall. It's such a shame that they didn't hit this wall, maybe a month ago. But yeah, I did. It's a shame about the Newcastle ownership, but I am happy for their fans. I was hoping that Newcastle would beat Liverpool, so happy enough for them to take. We all look down on the Carabao Cup, and we've bigger fish to fry in some ways. But at the same time, for a club like Newcastle who haven't won anything in 70 years, fair play to them. I was happy for them.
Nah, fuck them, mate.
Fair enough. Go on, Jamie. Say how you feel.
Yeah, balls to them. Didn't like to see it at all.
Jamie?
Honestly, I'd have far rather seen the Scousers win it. I'd have far rather.
Yeah, and I do understand that as well. I do understand that.
I'm with you on that, Jamie, because if Liverpool win, it doesn't change anything. No, it's just another trophy, and it doesn't really change their season, doesn't mean anything. Now the Geordies have now that 54 years now they've actually won a trophy, and it was really nice just to laugh at that scenario, and they kept on having that misery and all the rest of it. And yes, there's the ownership piece, and yeah, fuck them. And also would have meant that their beating of us would have been meaningless. So I'm with Jamie, but I share the frustrations on Liverpool because they are definitely falling off, and it's a bit annoying, frustrating that we aren't closer. And you can add it to the list of frustrations here. Following the defeat to PSG, only beating Southampton last week due to 2 dodgy pens, and now this, they're starting to tail off, and they're potentially there for the taking if we were just a little bit closer. They're having that, and it's basically no Salah, no Liverpool. He doesn't play any. He was poor against PSG, poor today. So it's.
Did he play today? Was he on the pitch? Didn't even know.
I don't know. Or either that, it was one of the. No, actually, he doesn't have a moustache, and his hair's not curly anymore. So the joke I was going to say about the Harry Enfield Scousers wasn't going to work. But I was thinking of Mo Salah from years back. But apparently he was taking up space on the pitch. But yeah, so who knows? It could be back on. We're now 3 points closer. So who knows? It's back on.
Start. No.
I know they could crumble. They got 10 games to go. They could completely mess it up. Who knows? Well, who knows? Go on. Got to keep the dream alive. Anyway, so look, as we always do, guys. So Jamie, what was your highlight and low light of today's glorious victory against that lot?
Highlight for me was probably sitting over the top of Chelsea's fans, to be honest, and they were just quiet for pretty much the entire game. It's the quietest I've ever heard Chelsea down Arleway, actually. So that was quite amusing. Also, trying to work out whether they have a single song that's about one of their current players when they sang Hazard song, which was sort of hilarious. Remember when they lost 5-0 last year as well, they sang about Salomon Kalou for a long time as well. Quite close to them then. So it's just quiet. I don't know what's going on, but they don't seem to have formed a bond with any of those lot out on the pitch.
No, and I don't think it's ironic either. I think you're right. I just think...
I think genuinely
they're that sort of club. Yeah, exactly. They're that sort of a club. There is no connection there. They aren't a club.
So that was quite funny. Low light for me actually was having a bloody Chelsea fan sat behind me for the majority of the game. Actually, so two very, very distinct, just in the crowd moments for me for high and low. Because otherwise, it was just a lovely day. And the geek behind me he was sat with two Arsenal fans quite clearly, and it was three Brummies, one of which was a Chelsea fan, and it was just winding me up a bit, especially when he kept comparing the two of us and going, you're like us that you've got nothing left to play for this season. I'm sort of like, we have still got quarter final.
We're playing Real Madrid.
Swat. And also you've got quite a lot to play for, mate. Because if you don't finish top four, you are looking. The shame of it is, again, and I keep saying this with both them and City, it's a great shame that these seasons of teams are happening at a time when there's probably going to be 5 places in the Champions League. But it's nonetheless, they've got a hell of a lot to play for because if they miss out on that really puts a bit of a damage in them trying to attract the same kind of profile number 9 that we need, actually.
No, absolutely, and we'll get to the table towards the end of the chat. And so, Ian, highlight from the game.
My highlight is left of centre. It's there's going to be a lot of Mark Cucurella hate from me on this podcast, but it was my
I'm all for it. Bring it on. Bring it on.
I urge everybody to go back and look at our goal and just watch. Don't watch Merino run in. Just watch Mark Cucurella in the middle of the box, just like standing there with his back to the ball, like not having a clue or an iota of what he's doing. And it's just like you described Chelsea as a clown car, and that was like it was like he was doing some weird clown trick in the middle of the box, and I just found it hilarious.
Remember last year, one of the goals, he was like throwing a tantrum on the goal line, like jumping up and down like a kid.
That was when Ben White scored, because he was trying to mark Ben White, and then the ball dropped to Ben White and he scored, and he went crazy. He's just he's getting up there now as one of my all-time hated Premier League players, for rivalries. I just hate him so much. My low light was was just how many fouls, and I'm sorry, Tabs, I know you have it written here, but I was thinking about it before.
You've nicked mine.
I've nicked yours basically, but it was going to be my low light. It was just how many times Fofana got away with not getting a yellow card. I know he got 1, but he could have had 5 yellow cards, 4 or 5. It was just so bizarre. So that was my low light.
Yeah, we'll touch on the potential red. And he only got the yellow for delaying the restart because he threw a ball onto the pitch when we were trying to take a throw in. So it's for that. So I agree.
One of the least subtle moments that I've ever seen in my life. That was kind of hilarious.
Absolutely, and he deserved it. But I was with you on that one. Fofana just getting away with murder this afternoon. My highlight, again, I think all our highlights reflect the game as a whole. I think, to be honest, my highlight was there was a moment where there was a drop ball. And it was so the referee walked the ball all the way to Raya on the edge of our box from the halfway line. He had to do the drop ball, and I think it meant that sort of Neto. I think Neto had to sort of run a couple of times to sort of try and block it. So he had to go back and forth twice from the halfway line just to not, and you could see him just mouthing off the referee saying, "Fuck's sake, couldn't you just kept rare with the ball and stuff like that?" And he's like, "Good," because he annoyed me the whole game, and he was just a horrible little git the whole game. And actually, when he got the yellow for complaining, everyone was cheering, and yeah, he was whinging all game. And I think we dodged a bullet there, because watching him today, and I was watching closely, there was nothing. There was no threat, no creativity. He was just moping around all game when things wasn't going. He was just doing... well, no. I was watching him.
In a shower of shit, but you know...
No, but it just off the ball stuff. You're just walking around. There was no intensity. He wasn't doing anything. It was just moping around, and yeah, maybe on the ball he may have done stuff, but there was no end product there, and there was really not that much of a threat. And he was just being just like a sulky git all game, and all he doing moaning. And when he ran up to the referee, I think the fastest he ran was to run up to the referee, and then he got his yellow card. And he's scored 3, assisted 4 this season in 16 starts, 26 games. He's had 7 yellows. And all that for 60 million. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased he's not one of ours, because he would, people like Martinelli get grief and Trossard get grief. You know, you're paying 60 million for someone who's subpar compared to them, I would suggest. So there we go. So there we go. So those are our highlights and lowlights, and as I said, it sort of reflects the game as a whole. So in terms of the lineup, so it was Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, and Trossard, Martinelli, Merino. So Jamie, any thoughts on that lineup? Was that what you're expecting? Were you expecting maybe something different, given like Martinelli coming back and so on?
It is suddenly more interesting now with Martinelli back, isn't it? So he does give you an option, I think, to be able to either push him to number 9 or push Trossard at number 9. I've never really enjoyed Trossard at number 9. And to be honest, I've never particularly enjoyed him at number 9 in the very tiny spells that we've seen of it. But nonetheless, we've currently got Mikel Merino at number 9 as well. So they are both valid options. So yeah, it was a more interesting selection to be able to decide between them and Ethan. And seeing Ethan miss out was a bit odd, to be honest. Actually, I thought he might have had a really good time against Chelsea. So yeah, it was that was probably the key thing I was looking for in the lineup. Otherwise, everything else was just, we've done this before, haven't we, with the Calafiori versus MLS, and they just swap positions for certain games, and that's that. Yeah. And everybody else was pretty much an auto pick at this stage of the season. But yeah, that was the interesting one for me, and I thought Martinelli did really well on the right. So happy enough with that pick, actually, and probably the only question mark for me was actually more to do with timing of subs and how many subs came on, more so than the lineup.
Yeah, no, I've got some thoughts on that. But you also, like you said, that was the first time you've seen sort of Merino in the flesh in the number 9 position.
Yeah, I was definitely going to come to this at some stage, because I mean, it was quite interesting actually, because it was the same timing as I don't know whether any of you have watched this Ola Reiner video that's been doing the rounds, where he's been talking about playing against different attacks in the Premier League. Yeah, I've heard about it. The Forest fullback. And he was talking about, Liverpool is just so direct, and City is quite passive, actually, and actually you prefer playing against City to playing against Arsenal, because on the other hand with Arsenal, it looks like that bit of an arc to us, but actually there's boatloads of probing going on. And watching today with Merino in the flesh for the first time as a 90-minute and being able to see more of his off-ball work than you necessarily see on TV, you could really see that, I think, actually. The kind of the couple of times that we look to find him with the kind of balls that Havertz would be in and onto, he's either not making the run in the first place, or he's just not got the legs to be able to get there. And he was willing all day, and I loved his effort. Absolutely adored his effort, and obviously he scores the goal, and I'm delighted by that. But it was super telling in person that you haven't got an intelligence and movement at number 9, and sort of explains a little bit more of what you don't necessarily pick up on TV. So that was quite interesting, and just any time we went for something probing into him, he just doesn't have the sharpness to be able to follow through, does he?
No, I agree. I did say I've got some thoughts on that. So, in any thoughts on the lineup? Could you understand Ranieri not playing and starting with MLS over Calafiori?
Yeah, I can't really add much more to what Jamie said. The only surprise to me was Manieri didn't start. I thought he might have because of the break that's coming up for us. But I mean, I wasn't disappointed by it either. I would like to see us try a few different things up top, and I think you're right. You're bang on the money about Merino, Jamie, because you would Trossard when he goes in the middle there. He doesn't do the work. I don't think that that Merino does, and that really tells. And I think that's probably why Arteta has stuck with Merino up top, because yes, he doesn't have the instincts that a number 9 has, but he does have the work rate. So yeah. But other than that, I think the team was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I got a feel. I think Waneri. Again, we still need to protect him. He's still young. Well, I think this is his last game as a 17-year-old, but he's still young. He sort of tailed off in the last game, and I think this was a bit of a grown-up game, and you can see the way Chelsea approached it. They were snidey, they were kicking, they were moaning. It was just one of these grown-up games, and and they made it a very physical game. And I think then maybe he wanted to go with players that were a bit more experienced. In that, so having Nelly start and Trossard start, they're a bit more sort of, Premiership, proven and be there, done that, and maybe just not from a start. And also he's facing up to Cucurella. So as much as we hate Cucurella, he's one of Chelsea's current best players, and he's their main threat. And he was actually very often, if he's not coming down the flank, he was doing what MLS does or what Calafiori does. He would be coming inside and playing that inverted left back. So I just think it was just I termed it a grown up game, and I think it just might be a bit early for him for these sort of games to play. So I wasn't surprised. He did it. Plus, again, he's going to be playing all the minutes in the international break. So, and we're going to need him when we come out of that. So there might have been a bit of that. And in terms of Merino, him starting as well with Waneri, we haven't maybe practiced any different formations. So all of a sudden, if you want to put Nelly through the middle or Trossard through the middle, it's another change. And maybe you just think we haven't had the time to practice anything, so we just stick with what we know. And you're right, he does work tirelessly. He doesn't have the instinct of a centre forward. His goals from against Leicester were midfield goals. They were deep line midfield. They were midfielders crashing the box goals, not centre forward goals. But he's the most similar to Havertz we've got in terms of stature and all the rest of it. You can see why he's there. So he wins first ball headers. He tries to win duels. He gives us the long ball options. So yes, he doesn't have the striker instincts, but if Arteta doesn't like to change formation, so he always tries it. Okay, what's the most equivalent to what I've got, and I guess that's why he plays. And it worked today. Yeah, you can't fault his effort. He just doesn't have, as Jim was saying, that centre forward know-how in instinct. But 4 goals in 7. You can't sniff at that either. That's he scored more goals than half, loads of like Madison and the likes and stuff like that. So not gonna knock it.
He's still
so yeah. So
I will say, sorry. Just to one thing off the back of that about Arteta and his kind of supposed kind of inflexibility. I don't know whether you felt that it looked like there were a couple of changes that we made today that felt quite different to usual. In particular, the fact we went direct quite a lot with quite a lot of joy, and also the fullbacks in particular. This was and this hadn't really occurred to me until kind of us just talking about it now, which is why I bring it up now, I guess. But MLS over Calafiori seemed to make a little bit more sense as well, for the same kind of reason as what you're saying about the grown-up display, which weirdly I think MLS is a more mature player at times in defence than Calafiori is, despite the fact that Calafiori's should have the greater experience and pedigree. The maturity that was shown by both the fullbacks with not being dragged too far wide, and that was a clear instruction, I thought, in particular, because that wasn't natural from our players to let them have the ball in the wide space and constantly trying to cover, because that is what Chelsea try to do to you. They go with the 3 at the back, they go with the wing backs that are pushed up really high. Only Caicedo is in any kind of holding role, and they look to try and stretch you as wide as possible. That's Maresca's thing, and that's what he did at Leicester as well, is to try and constantly be trying to pull the fullback so far wide that they're almost on the touchline with either the overlapping fullback or the winger, and try and create those inside moves. And they weren't happening for them all game. And that was absolutely brilliant. And a part of that was the discipline that was being shown in being, no, it's fine. Give him 2 yards. Cucurella's not going to go past you, but he can play
No.
the ball around you. If you get too tight, he'll just play the ball around you, and that's what they'll do all day. And we showed quite a lot of discipline, I think, with each of those. And the same goes for Sancho on the other side. The same goes for the kind of the wider forwards. And I mean, brilliantly, a lot of them were also quite shy as well. I don't know what Christopher Nkunku is at this stage, but it was nice just to see, at least anyway, that seemed like a distinct instruction, as did the going direct a lot more as well. And they felt like they were instructional because it happened for 90 minutes, and we don't see that often, that we seem to have that kind of change over the course of 90 minutes, and something where Arteta's gone, this is where I think we can have them. And I thought we got joy in both areas. No,
we did, and that's when Merino comes in as well as a useful option to win that first ball or win the second ball. Yeah, and you're right. You can let him have the flanks, because what have they got in the middle? Nkunku, Caicedo, Fernandes. These are 5 nothings coming in, and you've got Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. There, Rice, Partey. Yeah, fine, cross it. Try and put crosses in, and you're right. If you open up the spaces, then they can play around you, and that's where you expose yourself. So you're right, and MLS is more of a grown-up defender, shall we say, than Calafiori. So I was happy.
Sancho at some stage, wouldn't he? He just would have gone through him at some point. Like, it's just.
But if he was going to be at left back at any point, so I think we did lose out a bit attacking wise without him there. But I think today was a day for, and it proven defensive solidity. And then, and we created enough chances to win this by more than one. So I think the game plan was excellent. So Ian, what were having watched the game, and it'll be interesting to get your perspective, because obviously Jamie and I in the stadium, it feels a bit different. What was your perspective on the game? What did you make of the performance? How did you find it in general?
Yeah, I found very similar to what you guys are talking about there. Like we controlled the game for the most part, and just nullified Chelsea. We started off like a house on fire. I thought this is going to be like a 3 or 4-0 possibly, but we tend. And we've done this quite a bit in the past, where we start off well, and then you get your goal, and then we just sit off again. And I thought we did that a little bit. Now, our situation with players and whatnot are part to play of that as well. But like, Chelsea never really looked like scoring. As you were saying, they got the ball out wide quite well, but then so what? Like as you said, Tabs, there's nobody to fling it into. I thought it's kind of and I know we're going to touch on it as well. Like with the time of the kickoff as well has an impact as well on a Sunday, and. It's subdued, and our league position and the situation we find ourselves in, even though like it's still mathematically possible and whatnot, of course, but I think there's just a little bit of this is not a word, but subduedness. It's quite subdued, I think, and that shine. I think that shows through. I think did show through today. But it was still a very good professional performance. Like there was a Sky Sports stat flashed up that it was the lowest touches in a box Chelsea have had this season, the lowest XG they've had this season, and there was a third one that I can't think of now. But they barely laid a glove on us. Like we kind of managed them very, very well.
Yeah. I think it was so that it was a 0.3. I mean, across the game, 0.35 XG for Chelsea, 0.77 for us. So it's not like we were creating anything. We had 12 shots, there are 8. We had 4 on target to their 2. No big chances for either team. Lots of fouls. Okay. Interestingly, actually, Chelsea had more possession. It was 60-40 or 59-40-41 to Chelsea, and those were primarily at the end of each half. Like, so the last 10 minutes of the first half and last 10 minutes of the second half. That's where they got their dominance. And and they only had 8 touches in our box to our 23, 24 or something, and it was their least threatening attacking display of the season. And so look, we were defensively dominant. I think the whole back four and Rare, despite his his boredom moment. The thou shalt not pass. They were not getting past us. We were just too big, too good, too beautiful for them, and there was just nothing. They were crap going forward, but we made them look crap. So it was a combination of the two of the two, and I think you're right. It was 1:30 on a Sunday. It was subdued. It didn't feel like a London derby against a hated team, and I won't call them a rival. It's just a hated team, and so it just felt a bit flat. And as you said, it's maybe our position at the table. There's not a lot of jeopardy, but still, I was really tense last 20 minutes, half an hour, because I wanted to win this one badly. But
is there not
in the end,
bit of an element of the routine in there as well, though? Like we've lost once to him in 5 years now. It's becoming a little bit. We're lacking
easy
in that game, to be honest. But especially when we had those games when we first started beating them, it was amazing, and the atmosphere for a lot of Chelsea games was amazing. In part because we'd had a lot of years of, let's face it, getting beaten the shit out of by them as well. They were the harbingers of us falling out of title races. They took our place at the top table in London. They were bloody horrible to us. And then recently, it's just been brilliant. I can't really remember a time they've come up to the Emirates recently and looked anything other than a shower of shite, to be honest. I think the last time we lost 2-1 was it when Lampard was there?
I don't know. In the last 7. Yeah, we've won 5, drawn 2. So it's win, draw, win. So, and that's home and away. So, the most recent loss that I can sort of remember was when we had they had Lukaku.
August 21, and then before that we'd beaten them 3 times in a row as well.
But it was at the Emirates. They had Lukaku. Yeah. I think it was his first game back, and we had who was that Spaniard in defence? Can't remember, but we weren't very good at the back and all the rest of it. So yeah, that was a horrible 2-0. I got it. Yeah, I remember that. But look, today, I think for the neutral, it wasn't really a great game, but I don't give a shit. Low XG. Chelsea were crap. We were good, better, not brilliant, especially that second half. But the win was the most important thing. The win was the most important thing today. Yeah.
I was just going to say, Tabs, that another part I think that played in how this game wasn't a classic was that Chelsea. It was, as you say, huge 3 points. Chelsea were, had they beaten us, would have only been 3 points behind us. And even though this might sound silly because it's not the same thing, there was a lot less intensity. It reminded me of the away game at Old Trafford last season at the end of the season, where we just had to win. We just had to win. So you just made sure you didn't lose the game, and I had a little vibe of that, albeit on a much less intense level. And I think that played a part as well. And now that we have that gap, I think we might free ourselves up a little bit more to play a bit more beautifully, shall we say?
Yeah. Let's hope so. Look, I think if you watch that game again without the tension, 1, you'll be bored, but 2, you'll see we won very easily. You will see we won very, very comfortably, very easily. They said they had nothing there, and they were just nasty throughout the whole game. They were just really trying to get under our skin. Fofana, Caicedo, Cucurella, Fernandez. They were just rotational fouling, trying to kick anyone with any sort of skill or talent or showing them up. And that's all they had. And we didn't rise to it. And their goalkeeper is so sus. I mean, this is what I don't get. How can you be spending 1.5 billion and still be this shit? And why isn't it not being called out? Why are they getting a free ride? You spend this money, you should be on it from the get-go. You should not be given time. You should not be allowed any excuses. You spend that money, you should be on it, challenging. You should not be this poor. And I don't give a shit about, they've got a few injuries, Jackson and Palmer out. You've spent 1.5 billion. You should have 3 players in every bloody position, and I'm sure they have. It's just like, is this the best they've got? And it's sort of like, and they feel like, if only we need to buy another 3-4 players, which I think they bought 2 the other week. It's like they just go to Sainsbury's and just pick up players every week and stuff like that. It's just, just everything about them is just hate it. So look, in terms of in terms of the first half, I think you said it. Yeah, we looked decent. We looked more attacking. We had more intent. We pressed well. We created chances. Just nothing clear cut really fell our way. It just didn't quite fall. We were there. We were the better team. And then Jamie, you're at the other end. I don't know. Maybe in then you talk us through the goal, because I actually didn't realise it had gone in. From my angle, I thought it had gone on the other side of the post, and everyone was cheering. So
yeah. It was a lovely ball into the front post. What you can guess was supposed to happen is that Merino was to get the first contact and just flick it across the box, and hopefully Big Gabby or Saliba get their head on it, or somebody. And because I was looking at the XG in the first half, and I'd love to know what the XG of the goal was. I'd say it would be like 0.02 or something, because it had no right to go in the back of the net. It was supposed to be a flick on, I think, but it just nestled in the bottom corner, and I will take that every day of the week.
I will tell you what the XG was. Header from corner, result goal, XG 0.05.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Like it had no right to go in, but yeah, it did.
But actually, I watched it again. So I watched it. You're right. I think he was flicking onto someone else at the far post. There was actually no one on the far post coming in to put that ball in. It was not like one of those ones someone comes in and leaves it alone, and there was no defender there. So I was just thinking, is that a good corner or a crap corner? Because there was no one coming in to follow in to put that in. Because if it hits the post, you'd be thinking, well, where is someone to, So it was, you watched, yeah, exactly. It wasn't there. But yeah, no, 1-0. Nice to see him get it. And then the next incident after that was the Fofana foul on Rice. So Jamie, have you had a chance to look at it again? Do you think that's a red?
I mean, maybe it's in the grey area, isn't it? I mean, I think your complaints in general around the fact that Fofana just seemed to get away with an absolute load. Yeah, totally agree with that. For this particular one, I find it hard. It's somewhat of a grey area for me, and I wasn't calling for it at the time. Put it that way. And watching it back, all right, yeah, still not convinced.
Okay. And what was
you want to hear me absolutely raving?
No. I want your opinion. If you I want your genuine. I want your honest opinion. Yeah, that's fine.
Was a bit, I think it's one of those. Had it probably, to be honest, had it been at someone else who made a big deal of it, and not Becky Rice, who I sort of don't worry about. He's not a little twisty ankle man, is he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not watching Leo Trossard or various of the bendy ankle boys from the mid noughties that I used to wince every time they got touched, and also had there been a bit more jeopardy and whatever, maybe I'd have been a bit, but it just didn't really look to me like it was more than a simple yellow.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Ian, what was the sort of view on TV and the commentators and your view as well?
Yeah, I agree with Jamie that it was naughty. Like, there's no doubt it was naughty, and I reckon had the referee seen it for what it was, he probably would have given a yellow card. Like, there wasn't any force in it, and again, it's one of those that when you if it had happened to an Arsenal player, or if it was an Arsenal player, you'd say that's never a red card. Now, what I will say, they say there's a lack of force, and there wasn't, and I'm going to put my cap down and say it shouldn't have been a red. However, when it comes to, like, you talk about lack of force, if you so much as touch somebody on the face, if you lift your hand, you touch somebody in the face or the neck, they don't talk about lack of force there. So what's the difference? But if that is a red card, I think we'll have another 20% more red cards in the Premier League, and I don't think it's a road we want to go down.
It's sniding crap, and it wasn't. I don't think it was ever going to hurt him. That's kind of the point for me, and it just
hurting someone is not the. I don't know if that's a factor in giving someone a red card. Yeah, I don't know. If I'm going to be genuine about it, I don't like it. You're right. It's snidey. He puts studs on the back of his thigh. He doesn't need to. Why is he doing that? He's giving the referee a decision to make. He didn't even pick it. The thing is, he didn't even get a yellow for it, and that's nuts. Now maybe because the referee didn't see it, because a bit like the Joel Linton incident at the end of the Carabao Cup final. It's not a red card, but you can't give a yellow on VAR. So then everyone gets annoyed that he got away with it. So look, I get maybe if the crowd had been more vociferous, had it been a bit more of an intense atmosphere, there was more around it, maybe that maybe changed it. I don't like it. I don't know which way I'm going. But it wasn't given, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there we go. I'd like to have seen it be a red, because you shouldn't be allowed to stamp on people's thighs with your studs while they're on the floor. But I can understand the lack of force. But then that's just such a who's determining the force? So I don't know. Yeah. So there we go. And then then the next major incident in the first half is, and this was at your end, Jamie, when Raya Cucurella shot, but the way Cucurella got the ball, it was like someone shot, it rebounded, someone shot again, rebounded, and eventually it just looped to Cucurella, and I thought he just palmed it wide. I didn't realize it sort of went. I don't know, did it go through his hands and then his legs?
I was in line with Raya, and it just, thought, he just didn't get his body behind it, right?
Right.
And that was just my instant thing. I just go, get your bloody body behind it, for God's sake. I was worried when it landed with Cucurella actually in that position. Yeah. I thought that was their one really good opportunity of the game. Yeah. I think it was probably their only. No, they probably got one.
It was only shot on target, I think. It might have been their only.
I thought it was either the only one, or maybe they got one in the last 10. I was sort of
but on target. Oh, the Cucurella had a header, but a soft. It was more like a pass back header. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, that's right. It's when he had the hang time for about like Michael Jordan hang time, and then it just timidly bounced off his bonce, didn't it? Which is quite funny. That was really concerning. That arriving to him on the volley on his left was not nice to see. And then when he sticks it right down Raya's throat, you think brilliant. And then just as it squirmed wide, that was a real memories of games past sort of thing. And I think in particular, I had Jota against Ramsdale in my head then right away when it squirmed into him. He get his body down pretty much in same post, funnily enough. That was the clock end right hand post as well. So I wasn't feeling good at that moment in time, and it was definitely the only time in the entire game really where
there was any threat. No, I was sort of behind it, and he just
minutes I watched that ball squirm wide. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like it was forever.
And it would have been just our luck, because they didn't create it. It just like ricochet after ricochet comes to him, and maybe look, we've had a couple of lucky breaks in recent games, so maybe we're getting the luck when it doesn't frigging matter, which is like again something else. So and from my angle, I was sort of like. It was squeaky bum time, as they say, and Ian, were you confident now it's going wide, or were you like head in hands?
Oh no, it was a very close to being another TV out the window moment. I thought when it happened live, I thought it went through his legs, so I thought he kind of went down to just kind of grab it, and it went under his legs, and I was just going into the back of the net. It was only afterwards when I saw it that I saw it went kind of to the side of him. But when it went past him, I was like, oh my God. And not him, not Cucurella.
I know. Yeah. So, God, that would have been horrible.
It went past the post, and we don't have to worry about it now.
Exactly. And by the way, sorry, I forgot to stat alert for the Merino header. 27. So that's since the start of last season, Arsenal have scored more goals from corners than any other in the Premier League. 11 of those have opened the scoring, which is also a league high. And actually, that point there, I think at the moment we go ahead, we're very, very difficult to beat. May draw, but you just don't beat us. And I think now the critical thing for the rest of the season, we go ahead, and I don't think we lose the game. It doesn't mean we won't draw it, but and that's where we sort of struggled against Man United last week. If we'd have gone ahead, we would have won that one. We go ahead this game, we win this one, and that's really crucial. And I think that's why maybe we started the way we did, the intensity and the press and the way we played, and I think we've recognised, statistically, it just makes such a difference to us. So there we go. Second half, I think the only couple of things to note was the Merino volley, pretty much in exactly the same place as Cucurella. I think he hit it well, but it looked like he hit it to get it on target rather than just put his foot right through it to see what would happen. And again, Jamie, you were right over that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just really well. I mean, there were quite a lot of these actually, weren't there? So there was a Rice one as well. There was a Trossard one. There was a lot of. It felt like half the chances in this game came from ricochets and kind of balls coming off the side, and then ended up with somebody on the volley or half volley. But yeah, it was decent opportunity, but yeah, quite a few of those went to waste.
Yeah, and so then you mentioned in the beginning that about subs, and I was thinking the same. I was like, I couldn't work out what subs we were going to make that weren't going to make us, and I wasn't say weaker, potentially more vulnerable. So if you think of the typical subs he makes with MLS for Calafiori, well, I don't really want to be bringing Calafiori on the last few minutes. I know attack is the best form of defense, but really, Winery, I don't know. I was really thinking like from 60, 65%, who's he actually going to bring on to make a difference? And maybe I think the Winery sub had to happen because I think Nelly was gassed. He'd run himself into the ground, and actually you saw what Winery did against Tottenham, in the last few minutes of that game away from home. He managed it well. So I think for 20 minutes he can do a job. I think for a whole game that would have been a different thing. So I think he did all right. And then eventually Tierney came on, which meant Winery went in field to the Odegaard number 8 position, and Tierney did the tracking back with Cucurella. Go on, what?
Sorry,
You're laughing.
Still hilarious though, the idea. Yeah, Tierney came on, went, I was still going at the time. Where's he going to go? Oh, right wing. Yeah, fine.
Well, I think he was just literally there to cover Cucurella because he was the only threat. So I think that made a lot of sense. But it was one of those games where you can just see the team. You think, yeah, I would like to keep this team, but it's fresh legs over vulnerability. So I think we managed it just about right. And there we go. Sort of not a lot happened. I mean, Chelsea sort of tried to create stuff, but they didn't really threaten. And look, we finished 1-0. As I said, not a great game for the neutral, but I don't give a shit about the neutral. We beat them again, which is brilliant. And another stat is Arsenal have now lost none of their last 20 Premier League games against these so-called Big Six. We've got such an amazing record home and away against the big teams. It's or the so-called big teams. Won 12, drawn 8. So that's good, and more chance to laugh at Chelsea. It's been 3 months since they've beaten someone outside of the bottom 5 in the Premier League. Yeah, I mean,
that's
they are
crazy,
just,
isn't it?
How are they in the position that they're in? I mean, they're in 4th on 49 points. I mean, it's nuts. They're just not a very good team, and yeah. So, any other thoughts on the game, on any players? Before we go into some AOB.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What did you guys make of the potential Cucurella handball? What did you get? What did you see?
God, you know what? I completely forgot about that. Sorry. Yeah, that was in the 12th minute. Go on, Jamie.
I mean, for me, I watching it from one side at the clock. I thought it was 100% for me, but then that was from a very, very long distance away. But it was one of those where you're just absolutely convinced. And then when I've watched it back, I've gone, Christ, that's nowhere near the contact I thought it was. And it looked like it would be harsh, but it absolutely could be given 100%. But ultimately, we got a decent chance off the back of that, nonetheless. Anyway, didn't we? And so, I think at the time as well, that also watered it down. We was it Timber that was cooking him at that point? or was that Martinelli? I can't remember.
Yeah, that was the Timber. That was the Timber one.
Timber
Martinelli
one,
cooked him later, but that was Timber getting past him.
Yeah, Timber got by him on the byline, like we did a few times, and like pretty much most of our decent stuff came from. I thought, to be honest, and he had the opportunity to square it and does so, and it just ended up being another one of those chances that we saw a few of, didn't it? But penalty wise, looking back at it, absolutely could have been on a different day. But I'm also just not particularly bothered by it because it looked like he was falling down. He didn't necessarily move his arm in a natural way.
Yeah, it was right in front of me, and when they said, VAR check for handball, I thought it was because someone stopped it on the line. I didn't know it was the Cucurella falling over bit. Now, apparently they're saying again, I think there was one recently where they did award a penalty for a very, very similar incident. He was falling over, but he fell over in such a way to move his arm to block the ball. Okay, so I still think it would be
against Southampton, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And they gave. So look, you just want consistency. Now, is that really? He's falling over, but he knows what he's doing. You can see the movement and stuff like that. But as and again, if the ref gives it, VAR doesn't change the decision. So it's one of those ones that whatever the ref gives and all the rest of it. Yeah, I'm a bit 50-50. He does move it. Yeah, it's Cucurella. I want to see a handball for that. But then, so. But again, it's not. It's not blatant.
If that's MLS and that happened, I'm going, oh come on, he's fallen over and he's done him anyway. So has it affected the game?
Plus,
and we should have scored afterwards.
In for Timber, to be completely frank, actually, I think we got the opportunity off the back of it. So,
Well, we had Odegaard against Liverpool a couple of years back, putting his arm down and all the rest of it. I think
and he's falling down. That's the key thing for me. In no way did it disadvantage us. It didn't stop a shot from going near the goal. It didn't stop a ball from going in. It's none of those things. In fact, if anything, it probably keeps it in play.
Yeah. Plus, from different angles as well. From one angle, it looked like it was underneath his shirt sleeve, the shirt sleeve line, which is what they go by. But from another angle, it looked like it hit him above it or on it. So definitely you can't even say for sure whether it was like a handball from that perspective. The most embarrassing part of that passage of play was how Cucurella got up and berated the linesman because he said he was fouled and Timber didn't touch him. I think Timber sneezed on him or something. But he stood up and went at the linesman. I actually thought he was going to get booked. He went that kind of hard at the linesman. But because I thought maybe Timber pushed him or something. You look back, he didn't touch him or barely touched him.
No.
But no, for me, it's not a penalty.
No, and maybe the referee was thinking, well, was that a foul? Okay, I'll give the benefit of the doubt there, and I'll give the benefit of the doubt. I'll even it up. Referees are human and stuff like that, and you think sometimes like that. And again, we should have scored there afterwards. Another funny moment was that was
one of my point. I don't think he denied anything. For something so innocuous. Although I would say that channel. All the best opportunities, right? Every single one of them went through, and mainly, I think that might have been the only one with. Well, no, there was that one with Cucurella. There was a Martinelli one with Cucurella. There was also a couple of times up against Badiashile as well, who looks a bit pants, to be completely frank, which I'm quite happy about because I was
he's a Chelsea defender.
He looks genuinely shy, doesn't he? Which is brilliant. I think they
got rid of the better one to Aston Villa.
Yeah.
What's funny?
Channel I was really impressed by.
What's funny about that is because normally Cucurella, unfortunately, does have Saka's number. Because Saka does not get a lot of change out of Cucurella. That's really, really odd. That actually,
that's the difference. We went to the byline, didn't we? Against Cucurella and Badiashile. Every single time we went to the byline, and actually Saka doesn't do a great deal of that, right? Saka generally against Cucurella, whenever Cucurella's had his number, he's been doing it when he's doing that Odegaard axis type stuff, and they're doing the little triplet effect with the two of them and Ben White and whatever. Yeah. And the difference here was going to the and you just want to say to Saka for the next time, go right to the byline, mate. And maybe it helped having a couple of right footers going at him, to be honest. And the fact that he's shown them the outside, and then they've been willing to go and gone, no worries, mate, that's fine. We'll go outside and we'll go all the way to the byline, then we'll just muscle you out the way, you skinny little runt, you know. And that was quite good to see.
No, I agree. And
down is where they did it, and that's where Saka, I think, against Cucurella. If you go open body against Cucurella, he's a good defender. He'll nick the ball away. He knows where to get. He knows where how to position himself and how to be able to defend against an open body. We weren't open body against him. We were all closed body. Let's go shoulder to shoulder, and he didn't defend well against that. And
you turn him, he doesn't like it. You turn him, he doesn't like it. And against Saka, he does play quite high. He's very aggressive. So you know the way Saka stands to receive the ball, he's ready to launch straight into Saka as soon as he knows that ball is coming. So the ball comes from either White or Odegaard, and Cucurella's right. I'm on that straight away. So he doesn't give Saka a sniff, and it'll be hard. He'll get into him, and he'll give away a foul, and it'll just irritate. So it is quite interesting that so-called lesser players have better success over him because they turn him, they go down the line, go down to the flank, versus Saka, comes inside. So let's see if it's something that maybe we need to send Arteta a note. Just so did you notice this? But we'll see. We'll see.
I think it was because a couple of our players had a scissors in their pockets, and he was afraid.
Oh God, that was yes. I can't. It is weird. It is weird. You cannot take certain footballers seriously when they got certain haircuts. I don't care. Like Fellaini had it, Cucurella's had it. They may be brilliant footballers, but you can't take them seriously.
For the listeners that our friend Jamie here has a lovely long set of locks. He's got lovely long hair himself, and in no way, shape or form, Jamie, am I comparing your hair to Cucurella's. Cucurella's is just so annoying and bouncy, and
I've never tried to emulate Sideshow Bob myself, so I get where you're coming from, mate. It's all right. I didn't in no way was I looking at you there and going, fucking long hair brother alliance. You, mate. I'm not gonna send the boys round to have a word, Jared Leto turns
what? I actually thought when you said he Cucurella timidly headed the ball, I thought you said he was going to timitate it back to Raya, but there we go. Oh, come on, there we go.
Boom, boom.
There's a bit of a delayed reaction on that one. I thought, does anyone know shampoo products from the 90s? But there we go. All right. Okay, so look, we are now 12 points behind Liverpool. It's four games, never know. But no, the most important thing about today was, look, I think we've gone a long way to securing second spot. If you can't finish first, finish second. I don't care where you finish. No, you don't want Nottingham Forest finishing above us, because imagine how worse it will be if you couldn't even get past Forest. So you finish as high as you can with as many points as you can, and fuck everyone else. And considering everything, we can have that discussion at the end of the season. So I thought we've pushed on to, because if we lost today or drawn, Forest would have been only 1 point behind us. Chelsea would have been 3 points behind us. It was an important win, and so now, say we're 4 points, 5 if you include goal difference above Forest. We're 9 points plus goal difference, but Chelsea, 10 points City. 11, Newcastle. So you think that's top 3 pretty much secured, considering everyone else is playing each other and so on. So you think that should be top 3 at least, if not the second place, pretty much.
Mate, pretty much now. Ahead of Leicester and Ipswich.
Well. This leaves me to a very big.
Ahead of Southampton.
Is the fact that we are 24 points above Tottenham. St. Totteringham's Day is only 4 points away. So, and this is like end of March, beginning of April. So, people are saying God, what a crap season we've had. Tottenham, Man United, we are so far above these guys is ridiculous. So
I'd even forgotten about St Tottenham's Day. We sort of have for a couple of years, right? When's the last time that we really, I mean, it is quite hilarious that that's just stopped being a thing now, really.
Yeah, because
and when it's this early though, we're going to make it a thing.
Yeah. Without wanting to move away from the beautiful talk of St Tottenham's Day, have you seen Nottingham Forest's remaining fixtures? I'm going to call these out to you now, because I have one eye on Nottingham Forest as a potential danger. Right, here's their 9 fixtures. I'll call them out quick. Man United at home, that's a guaranteed 3 points. Villa away, tough. Everton at home, you'd expect them to win. Spurs away, you'd expect them to win. Brentford at home, not a gimme, but Palace away. Leicester at home, 3 points. West Ham away, and then Chelsea at home on the last day of the season. Like they can accumulate a lot of points out of those fixtures, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know whether
they could do. I think they're inconsistent.
For that, though, right? I mean, they've been very, very good, but I'd be interesting. I don't know if either of you would have this, or mainly Tabs. Come on now, in your set of stats, where would those 54 points that they're on have placed them at this point in the season exactly in previous years? Because I do think they are being flattered somewhat by what's around them. You know what I mean? Like they did still go and lose to Newcastle and Fulham, in games in a row, right? And they got who was it gave them a hiding at some point as well? Like
Brighton.
Brighton beat. They Brighton, but then they went on and won 7-0. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, their win against City last week was
Bournemouth as well, didn't they? Bournemouth absolutely turned them over. Like they've lost. They've lost 7 or 8 games in the league this season, which is more generally than a third place team would lose. And that's my point. Is more, I guess. Like I think they. Yeah. I respect massively what they've done, and Nuno's done a hell of a job. And there's a bunch of players there having redemption arcs, which I really love to see as well. Like there's Elanga and Hudson-Odoi and a few others and stuff that that have been brilliant. But I get you 100%. But I think they've got a couple of those games that they're going to get a 2.
There'll be a surprise loss in there.
They just don't turn up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean, when they beat City last week, that was their first win in 6. So they're inconsistent. Everyone is inconsistent.
Absolutely would love to see Nottingham Forest in the Champions League. And also as a club, like you talk about a club actually that, I mean, that's a true 90s kids thing anyway, isn't it? Like I remember Brian Clough leaving them. It's a big deal to have Nottingham Forest be a proper team again, I think. And that's nice to see. And genuinely absolutely buzzing for them, in fairness. And I think if they can finish top 4, I'd be really delighted.
Look at it. I mean, it's just it's a shame. I mean, I've got Brentford as my second club, etc., for various reasons. But even then, I wish Bournemouth had won yesterday because they would have been on 47 points. So that would have been Newcastle, Brighton on 47. Bournemouth on 47, Man City are on 48, Chelsea on 49. If you could just get Bournemouth and Brighton, and even Fulham today, Tottenham losing 2-0 to Fulham. If you get Fulham, imagine you could get Bournemouth, Fulham, Brighton being above Chelsea, Man City, Newcastle. It would be hilarious. It would be just so gorgeous. And yeah.
Can I ask you to press the stat bell, please?
Oh.
Thank you very much. It was just that you mentioned the Fulham game today. That I have to mention this. I read it earlier on that Tottenham Hotspur, our poor cousins down the road. Cousins? Why did I even say that? Our poor neighbours down the road. I just got sick in my mouth saying that. Our poor neighbours down the road have lost 15 games this season, and that's more than Arsenal have lost in their last 3 seasons combined. Thank you, and good night.
Also hilarious watching Ryan Sessegnon go and score as well, wasn't it? That was genuinely, that was a bit of a highlight for me.
Very good.
Another player who Spurs considered a complete and utter waste of time, and spent 5 years trying to develop, and he wouldn't go anywhere. And then he's absolutely lovely to watch that.
I mean, well, you look at Nuno at Forest, you look at Sessegnon there. It begs the question: where's the problem? I'll leave you these listeners to work that one out. So look, it could be an interesting battle for fourth, basically fourth and fifth. A couple of you know, as I said, Brighton getting a draw away to City, and they're both coming back from behind twice. Newcastle, right, they've got their silverware, maybe they'll tail off. Don't know. It's going to be, I would just love it. I'd love it if the likes of Chelsea and Man City just drop out. That'll be just hilarious. But let's see. Maybe normal stuff will resume. But there we go. Just a couple of other things. MLS call up for England. Deserved.
Just how brilliant is it, considering, you know, that's what, 6 months, 7 months worth of work with him, and he's I'd absolutely love to see it. I mean, as you know, I don't support England, so I don't really give too much. I'd love to find him a Scottish granny, but for him to, and I know that
what for?
Left back's always been a bit of a problem area for England, which is hilarious because actually we don't need left backs in Scotland. We got about 7 of them. I just think it's just brilliant to see, you know, an academy kid get his call up and it be fully deserved, and for most fans of other teams to be there saying, yeah, he needs to be in the squad after only, you know, a brief few months of first team football, really. And who would have thought it at the start of the season? So lovely to see.
Yeah, it was nice of the announcer to sort of call it out as well before the game when they were saying his number. He was like the last player to be called out, and they, you know, gave him a big congratulations. So that was good. Yeah, hard for an Italian, an Irishman, and a Scotsman to be talking about England squads. So, but who gives a shit? But there we go.
An incredible achievement for him, for the player, and for the club and Arteta and the coaching staff. Like as Jamie said, like this has happened in 7 months. It's incredible. Really happy for him.
Yeah, and I just hope it goes the right way in terms of, okay, people can see him for who he is, and none of the bullshit that came out after in January, February, and stuff like that. So let's hope it goes that way. And Waneri in the under-21, so that's still, you know, 3 years above his usual age group. He's not quite ready yet for full caps, that, you know, and he'll get there, plenty of time. So you know, not too worried about that, and just he's part of his development, and that's not a problem. So it's plenty, and also England have a lot of average players in there, but somehow seem to be favoured. So you know, in that position, so his time will come. His time will come, and it doesn't have to be just yet. So no worries on that. And that's it. So next up is the international break, and then we don't play until like the 1st of April, so that's even the Tuesday, so it must be FA Cup weekend, the first weekend after international break, I'm assuming, but then we don't play until the 1st of April, and then it's the big one against Madrid. So there we go. So wow, we managed to get an hour out of beating Chelsea 1-0, which I could talk all night about beating that scummy lot from West London. So there we go. But we have to draw this to a close. So look, Jamie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting you response for a moment. Then normally we don't do much for sign off. So
that's all right. And Ian, go on. And Ian, tell us where people can find you on the socials and what you do.
People can find me everywhere on all the platforms at Art Cannon Pics, looking for your pictures of your cannons from all around the world. I have over 550 of them or something like that at this stage, from 6 of the 7 continents. I need one from Antarctica if anybody fancies going up and building one out of snow or something and just sending it to me.
Well, now that you've actually said what it is, I can actually go and have a look at the page and drop you a follow. I've been somewhat worried about Ask Cannon and what it could actually be. So
I wouldn't recommend Googling it. I'll put it you that way. Just find it on Twitter or X as it is now, but just don't Google it.
I have actually been to Antarctica, but I didn't know you back then, so sorry. Otherwise, I would have done it. I would have done a cannon for you.
You should have known.
I should have known, but there we go.
Otherwise, you'd have taken a photo, and as it was, you went to Antarctica and didn't take any photos because that wouldn't be weird.
Oh no, lots of penguins and icebergs. lots of penguins and icebergs.
No cannons on display. We weren't doing
one,
our
unfortunately.
Arctic range at the time. I guarantee. Actually, who knows, mate? The next time that we lose a game to Everton, we'll probably have the Arctic range out there ready for you to make your next polar expedition, all fully togged up in Arsenal Opera gear.
I mean, I'll do it. It's for the cause. It's for a good cause. I'll do it.
Yeah, no, spectacular place, but yeah, unfortunately no cannons. But there we go. And look, we'll maybe do a couple of pods over the international break. I said we got one hopefully lined up, part of our community, Arsenal in the Community podcasts. So we're just trying to work on getting that done with Ian and his Irish connections. Good ones, not bad ones. And there we go. So there we go. So I enjoyed that. That was really good. Yeah, I don't know either. I'm delirious on beating Chelsea, and I don't care how rubbish it was. We beat.
What
that
sort of bad
fucking...
Irish connections are these?
I was just trying to think of like Italian, but mafia. Just don't worry about it. I was just.
Were you going to the Tribbles reference about? Oh, mate.
I don't know what I was saying. Come on. I don't know what I'm talking about. I said I'm just delirious on beating Chelsea. As I said, I don't care how we beat them, and that's all I give a shit about. So, until the next time, fuck you, Chelsea. Come on, you Gunners.